Are you related to Erik Galen Menendez, who's seated here?
He's my brother.
And were your parents Mary Louise Menendez and Jose Menendez?
Yes.
And were you born January 10th,
What's the deal, y'all? It's P Thuggin back at it again with another video, and I got some new information for y'all. But before we get into it, if you're new to my channel, go ahead and smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and turn on my post notifications so that I can keep you updated on the latest gossip and interesting topics on YouTube. Now let's get into it. This video is for entertainment and educational purposes only, and everything that I'm saying with the content presented in the video is meant to be enjoyed. It is not meant to be taken as factual evidence or legal advice.
live nearby?
They lived across the street.
The story of Lyle and Erik Menendez is one that captivated America in the early 90s and has continued to evoke fascination and horror over the years. What started as the brutal murders of two wealthy parents in their Beverly Hills mansion soon spiraled into a highly publicized and controversial trial, one that would raise troubling questions about family, power, and justice. In this documentary, we'll dive into the lives of the Menendez brothers, tracing the early years, examining the twisted dynamics of their family, the motives that might have driven them to commit the crime, and continued repercussions of their case. We also look at recent developments, as many today still wonder if justice was truly served. Born to a Cuban-American family that seemed like a model of the American dream, Lyle and Erik Menendez were the sons of Jose Menendez, a successful businessman, and Kitty Menendez, a former beauty queen. The family was affluent, privileged, and outwardly picture perfect. Jose was a highly ambitious executive who eventually landed a position as a CEO
we hear from
of
Lyle Menendez
Entertainment,
by phone
a
from
prominent
prison
film distribution
about
company.
that night.
His ambition pushed the family up the social ladder.
Did you
eventually taking it
picture
from their
yourself
modest New
doing
Jersey
that
roots
during
to
this?
sprawling
Notes that I
Beverly
made
Hills
for a
mansion. Despite
conversation.
the privilege, Lyle and Erik's childhood was not a happy one. Accounts would later reveal that Jose Menendez was a demanding father who put immense pressure on his sons to achieve. Family friends described him as a strict disciplinarian who expected perfection and who held both his wife and children to unreasonably high standards. Kitty, on the other hand, reportedly suffered from depression and was often emotionally distant from her sons. Lyle and Erik seemed caught between their father's unyielding expectations and their mother's fragile mental health. Years after the murders, during their defense trial, the brothers alleged that their parents controlled
Jose and Kitty Menendez brutally murdered and then shockingly
pressure. They claimed that Jose Menendez was physically and sexually abusive to both of them, and that Kitty had been aware but turned a blind eye. They described a childhood where fear and pain were the norm, where they lived under constant scrutiny and oppression, and where defiance was never an option. According to their testimony, this environment left them emotionally scarred, haunted by memory of trauma, while some found their claims hard to believe. Others were convinced that the cycle of abuse was key to understanding the event that led up to the murders. The defense argued that the brothers, now in their early 20s, finally snapped after years of torment and abuse, seeing the murders as their only escape. On the night of August 20th, 1989, Lyle and Erik Menendez shot their parents in their home. Jose and Kitty were watching TV in the family room when the attack began. The brothers entered the shotgun and fired multiple rounds, killing both parents in a brutal, almost unfathomable, violent manner. Then, they attempted to stage the crime scene to look like a mob hit dumped the shotguns and later returned their mansion, calling 911 in apparent shock and grief. In the immediate aftermath, their behavior seemed suspicious. The brothers quickly spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on luxury goods, cars, and travel. Their extravagant spending drew attention, but it wasn't until Erik confessed to his psychologist, Dr. L. Jerome Ozil, that they were arrested. Dr. Ozil's tapes, which captured Erik's confession and conversation with his brother, became a pivotal piece of evidence in their trial. The trial of the Menendez brothers were groundbreaking and polarizing. Televised court proceedings drew millions of viewers, making it one of the first true crime cases to be exclusively
Notes that I made
in
for
real time. The brothers pled that they killed their parents out of the fear of their lives after years of abuse. The prosecution, however, painted a different picture, arguing that the murder was cold, calculated, acted, and motivated by greed and a desire to inherit their parents' fortune. The jury decision reflected the country's divided options. After two mistrials, Lyle and Erik were eventually convicted on first-degree murder and sentenced to life without the possibility of parole. Many question the fairness of the trial and the weight given to their abuse allegations. The verdict left a lasting debate. Were the heartless killers? Were they themselves victims of dysfunctional family pushed to a breaking point? Now in their 50s, Lyle and Erik Menendez have spent more than half of their lives in prison. Both men have married while incarcerated, and they continue to serve their life sentences in separate California prisons. Over the years, they have become somewhat reconciled with their actions, and after expressing regret in interviews, the brothers have also gained support from advocates who argued that they were given an unjust trial and that the evidence of their alleged abuse was never fully considered. In recent years, advocates for survivors of domestic and child abuse have railed around the Menendez brothers' case, seeing it as emblematic of a justice system that often fails to recognize the trauma of abuse survivors. More than a decade after the murders, the Menendez case continues to fascinate and divide. In recent years, documentaries and true crime series have reignited public interest, particularly among young audiences unfamiliar with the original trial. Some of these programs have cast new light on the family dynamics, sparking debate on social media about whether the brothers victim of long-term abuse who simply ran out of options. Most recent appeals for their release have been put forward, citing new evidence and change in public perception of abuse. Although that they remain behind bars, the Menendez brothers' story serves a reminder of complicity and ambiguity that often lurk between seemingly open and shut cases. In the end, the Menendez brothers' case became one of the most infamous and sensationalized trials of the 20th century, revealing dark secrets about power, privilege, and trauma. It raised difficult questions about the cycle of abuse, the influence of wealth on justice, and the limits of family loyalty. As we look back on this case today, it still resonates and reminds us that even in seemingly ideal lives, unimaginable darkness still exists. This documentary aims to go beyond the surface of the Menendez brothers' crime and uncover the profound family dysfunctions that may have led to this tragedy. Their story remains as a haunting example of the complicity of human motives, the weight of hidden trauma, and the enduring impact of American obsession with true crime.
The television was on, so it was just
my channel.
a normal evening for
You guys
them.
enjoyed this video. I apologize
Kid was
for all the
wearing
slip-ups and
white.
mess-ups, but
She was covered
for the
in
most part, I
blood.
hope you guys can
Jose
understand
had a shotgun blast to the back of his
the
head.
story of the Menendez.
It was
Make sure you guys like,
really
comment, and
horrendous.
subscribe. You already know the deal. Pete Duggan is out.